in that direction right in front of the flight zone.
She wrote that, for that event, I believe that young or old, we have as much to look forward to with confidence and hope as we have to look back on with pride. Today we are looking back on your accomplishments with pride and looking forward with confidence and hope to that which you can give to your profession and to your families as you go forward here. This year, here in this room, we honor 79 members who have each solidified 50 years of membership with our Washington State Bar. Collectively, you represent 3,950 years of service to the public and our Washington legal profession. And that is just the 50-year members here with us in this room. It's an incredible record of service to so many residents of our state. On behalf of the Washington State Bar Association, we thank you for your service to our profession and your commitment and dedication over the years. I am pleased and honored to welcome Washington Supreme Court Chief Justice Stephen González, who will join us momentarily. We are also joined by members of the Washington State Bar Association Board of Governors, District 9 Governor Kevin Fay. Kevin, if I could have you give a wave. At-large Governor Jordan Couch. Jordan, if I could have you give a wave. As well as members of the executive leadership team and bar staff here today. At this point, it is now my pleasure and honor to introduce our Washington Supreme Court Chief Justice, the Honorable Stephen C. González. Chief Justice González was sworn in as the Supreme Court's 58th Chief Justice on January 11, 2021, following a vote of his peers for a 4-year term. He was appointed to the court effective January 1, 2012, and subsequently won 2 contested races for 6-year terms, starting in 2013 and 2019. Before joining the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice served for 10 years as a trial judge on the King County Superior Court, hearing criminal, civil, juvenile, and family law cases. Chief Justice González earned his Bachelor of Arts with honors in East Asian Studies from Pitzer College and his JD from UC Berkeley School of Law where he was the technical editor of La Raza Law Journal. Please join me in welcoming Chief Justice Stephen González.
Sitting at my table is Oliver, who's 11 years old, and I was testing out a few of what we call dad jokes on him, and they weren't going over that well, but I want to see if any of you appreciate them before I start my formal remarks. So recently, Superman was arrested, and he didn't get bail because they determined that he was a flight risk. The Batman had the same problem, but the Penguin got out right away. All right, not going so well so far. Let me keep going at risk of it going even worse. Do you know what the triangle said to the circle? Man, you're pointless. Our older son told us that he's going to major in history, and I told him there's no future in it. All right. Thank you for putting up with that. I have a bunch more, but I'll spare you the rest. I want to say congratulations also and add my congratulations to those you've heard. This group includes a lot of people who have done amazing things and people that I've crossed in my career, like Judge Ronald Cox and Steve Crossland, with whom I've been able to work on a number of important issues, George Finkel, Tom Hillier, Ronald Kessler, Pat McIntyre, who's here as well. We've had WSBA governors, Ponarolo and Moberg, Judge Robard, and others here. And on behalf of the Supreme Court, we want to thank you for your service that you've given so far and the years of service that we hope are ahead. And we also miss those colleagues who weren't able to make this golden anniversary, like Gene Anderson, who served as the U.S. Attorney for the Western District and later as a magistrate judge before whom I appeared. May the memory of those who have passed be a blessing. Of course, you've seen a lot of changes during the 50 years that you've been members of the bar. And I want to take a moment to thank your family members who have served with you and supported you and acknowledge that sometimes lawyers can be hard to love. So thank you for doing that. One big recent change is the emergence of AI available for the practice of law. ChatGPT being one example, and so I decided to ask it a couple of questions. First, I asked it if it would write a memo in support of dad jokes. As you can tell, I care for them, and to write it in haiku format. I wanted to test its limits. And its answer included the following: why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. And I thought, all right, AI is doing okay in this instance. And then I asked it to write a motion to dismiss a traffic infraction using sovereign citizen analysis. And it answered by saying that that is a debunked legal theory and I cannot help you with it. And AI went up in my esteem substantially with that answer. I think it's just another tool that we can use, better than the New York lawyer who actually had it draft a motion for him and it made up cases. And when he was suspicious about the made up cases, instead of doing his own research, he asked ChatGPT, are these cases real? And when it said yes, he went ahead and filed the brief, I think much to his regret at this point. You know that practice of law is more than the technical aspects. It includes being a counselor, giving sound advice to clients, and you've developed wisdom through your practice that you've shared with your clients, and you've helped us build a community, not just a community of lawyers, but a broader community that supports our democracy. That is, I believe, the role of lawyers and judges in our society. You've had trailblazers in your class, such as Dolores Sibonga, the first Filipina-American lawyer admitted to Washington State Bar, and the first minority woman ever on the Seattle City Council. We also have with us today my friend, Judge Richard McDermott, who was the presiding judge when I was at King County Superior Court at the end of my term, and I had the pleasure of seeing him and his wife as we walked in today. Judge McDermott, thank you for your service. And I want to give him a round of applause. There are too many to mention by name, and I know that there are still injustices that plague our society that we haven't solved yet. But I know you've moved us further along in fixing that problem. And on the Supreme Court, we've tried to follow that lead. We've removed the gender bias that existed in the rules previously adopted that assumed a sheriff could only ever be a man. We've changed our rules about jury selection to try to do better than the Batson versus Kentucky rule, which fell short of eliminating bias. And we now have the most diverse Supreme Court in the nation here in Washington. In addition to ethnic diversity, we have 7 women and 2 men. And I remember what Ruth Bader Ginsburg said when she was asked how many women it would take before it would be enough. And she said 9. 9 would be enough. Well, my answer is 8. 8 would be enough. I know your work isn't over. One of the things I want to encourage you to do, if you're not doing it already, is to reach out and encourage people from diverse backgrounds to join this noble profession. Be that counselor. Provide them with the support, the knowledge, the wisdom, and connections that you've built over your years of practice. I've spoken long enough. I'll say that I appreciate your 50 years of dedicated service, and I'll end with just one more joke. I've been meaning to go on a diet, but there's just way too much on my plate right now. Thank you all again for your service and your attention today.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Chief Justice. We will now take a short break for all of you to continue to enjoy your lunches, collegiality, and conversations. I'll be back up in a few minutes to continue our tribute to you. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed your lunch and the conversations. They certainly have been lively. At this time, we'll take a stroll now down memory lane to the year of 1973, when all of you who are being honored today were admitted to the Washington State Bar Association. On March 22nd, 1973, the Washington State Senate ratified the Federal Equal Rights Amendment by a vote of 29 to 19. The Academy Award picture for Best Picture in 1973 was, any guesses? The Godfather. The most popular baby names of 1973 were Michael and Jennifer. The Paris Peace Accords brought an end to the Vietnam War. There's a question here. Which horse wins the Kentucky Derby and sets a new time record for the event and goes on to win the Triple Crown, becoming the first horse to do so since 1948? Any guesses? Set the Immortal Secretariat. Absolutely right. In 1973, the Sears Tower in Chicago was finished, becoming the world's tallest building, a record it held until 1998. The Exorcist, the film adaptation of William Peter Blatty's 1971 best-selling novel, was released in 30 theaters nationwide and was the top-grossing movie of the year. In 1973, the Endangered Species Act was passed to protect species from extinction. Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon was released. And finally, you could buy gasoline at the amount of 40 cents for a gallon. 40 cents. All right. In all seriousness, we have a few more fun facts to share. A number of our bar members admitted in 1973 have also gone on to serve on the bench, including a U.S. District Court judge, judges on the State Court of Appeals, Superior Court, and District Court levels. We also have a former Attorney General of Alaska and the founder of the state's largest civil legal aid law firm. We also have a number of former governors who served on the State Bar's board, as well as 2 former bar presidents. I am in awe of the class of 1973, and we are excited to recognize you. I'd now like to ask the members of the Board of Governors who are with us here today, as well as our executive staff, to come up and join me here at the front of the room. It is our pleasure to present each of our 50-year members with a certificate and a pin. When I call your name, would you please either stand or raise your hand? You can stay right where you are, as we'll have one of our board members or executive staff walk over and present to you your pin and certificate. In preparing to do so, 2 brief items. As noted before, a number of you have been elected or appointed to the bench or to political office. Due to the possibility of missing some of the honorifics, I'm just going to call you by name. But as I've had to put in a brief before, no disrespect is intended. Second, given the sheer number of our honorees, I would invite you to hold your applause until the very end. So with that, we'll go ahead and get going. Robert Alexander. There you are. Roger Barbie. Might need you to wave him high so I can see. Roger Barbie. James Black, Jr. There we are. Robert Borer. Catherine Campbell. Robert Campbell. I feel a little bit like an auctioneer gesturing to the gentleman in the back. Yeah. James Cathcart. David Clancy. John Cleese. Jerome Cohen. Jacob Cohen. Jacob Cohen? No. Richard Cole. Richard Cole. No. Donald Kramer. Stephen Crane. Stephen Crossland. Philip Cutler. Franklin Dacca. John Davis. Maureen Deitman. Michael Duggan. That's your cue. A. Richard Dykstra. Roger Felice. George Finkel. George Finkel? Oh, there we are. Thank you. Stephen Foster. Yay. That's okay. Michael Frost. David Gagley. Michael Garrity. Eric Gustafson. Kearney Hammer. Lyle Hansen. Lyle Hansen. Oh, there we are. Thank you. For this next one, Jen, if I may, I'm going to break protocol for just a moment. I'd like to personally recognize my law partner, mentor, and friend, Arlie Harrell. Ernest Heller. Earl Hereford. John Hoagland. James Holland. James Holland. Second call. Nope. Gwendolyn Howard. Philip Hubbard, Jr. Dennis Jordan. Robert Keefe. Daniel Kellogg. Richard Kovac. Richard Kovac? Nope. Mark Lehman. Albert Lehus. Ralph Mayman. Stephen Marshall. Richard Matthews. Russell Mazzola. Richard McDermott. Patrick McIntyre. Charles Meyer. Jerry Moberg. I think I heard he was unable to attend. Yep. James Murphy. Richard Peterson. Richard Phillips. Leo Port. William Pope. Oh, we're getting a cluster in here. This is good. This is easy for our staff. Douglas Purcell. There we are. Daniel Roz. Oh, there we are. Thank you, sir. Ross Radley. James Robart. Thank you, sir. Thomas Robinson. James Rogers. James Rogers? Nope. Mylan Ryder. Robert Saylor. Wallace Skidmore, Jr. James Smith, Jr. James Smith. Nope. Jeffrey Stamper. Donald Stone. Donald Stone. Nope. Terry Thompson. Gregory Tripp. Bill Vile. Lawrence Weatherly. Thomas Westbrook. Douglas Whitlock. Lish Whitson. Alan Wicks. Gary Weiss. Edward Winskill. Now, is there anyone from the class of 1973 here today that I have missed? Any other members of the class of 1973? Yes, you, sir. Mark Johnson. Mark Johnson. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating our 50-year members of the Washington State Bar Association. It is a tremendous accomplishment. I'm so pleased and honored that you've been able to be with us here today. It has been a real pleasure and a reminder of why we should all be proud to be a lawyer here in Washington State. I congratulate and commend our 50-year members for the differences you have made in our profession and for your contributions in shaping the bar's history and its future. Like Indiana Jones, you are examples of always learning and developing new skills, and like the Queen, you are examples of ongoing service to others. We conclude this luncheon at this time with an invitation to please stay as long as you would like. You are also welcome to enjoy the museum's exhibits until they close at 5 o'clock. Thank you again for being here, and travel safely. Thank you.